really worry about on bond markets is, okay, we have, call it $1.6 to $2 trillion in debt every single year in this country getting added to the national debt. And the only thing that really makes that serviceable is that interest rates are still pretty low, right? They're about 4.5%, right? Now, if interest rates go to 8%, and you're actually spending way more to service the debt than you are on actual like goods, services, and infrastructure for your country, like that can become a huge spiral that could take down the finances of this country. We've never had that in 200 plus years of being an American republic. We've never had a true debt spiral in this country. So I really worry about, do the bond markets, do the international investors, the people who are getting rich off of globalization, the people who have gotten rich from shipping our manufacturing base to China, the people who've gotten rich from a lot of wars, do they try to take down the Trump presidency by spiking bond rates? And one of the things that I think a lot about, and I talk to the president about this a lot, is when we think about who we're choosing as Treasury Secretary, one of the things the president, of course, it's his choice ultimately, is we've got to find the guy who's going to make sure that we can manage this country through a real time of crisis where we get the country's finances back on track. That is one of the ways they could take down Donald Trump. But if Trump wins, it's not just going to be smooth sailing for 4 years. They're going to do everything that they can to take down his presidency.
So the key number is that interest rate.
I think that's probably the most important and the most impactful way they could try to take down his presidency is by spiking the interest rates. But it would be devastating to the president if you had this bond market death spiral. And that's one of the things we're going to have to fight against.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monday, the start of the week. And that earlier clipped in the intro is what I was talking to you about. The interview that was J.D. Vance with Tucker Carlson discussing not the likelihood, not the probability, but the actual black swan of that being interest rates. Now, a lot of young guys, those numbers are fictitious. People my age remember growing up that when we were preteens, teenagers, that's the interest rate that our parents had, 11, 12, 13% mortgages. So that was under Ronald Reagan, just saying, but that's what was out there from before. So anyway, I got the futures up here for you, and looking at this as I always have my 1 hour time frames on. We are getting a little bit more weakness out of the Dow Jones here. And again, the structure of this dip, this is by far not a screaming, hollering, going buy the dip, get long alarm that we started with on Friday. It's simply that we had gotten extremely oversold, and all of our data added together with that, the algorithm suggests very strongly that we are going to be looking for a relief bounce, not necessarily a explosion bounce, but a relief bounce. Bring you back over onto the spreads. Like I said there, 10 o'clock on Friday morning, prior to me getting hammered by that typhoon. After we get a minus 1% day, the plus 1% days, or very close to it, which is easiest using the low of the day of the session for a minimum, almost always occur the following session. What we've got over here is 1% off of the low of the day on Friday is 5911.54. Plus 1% would be 5929.33. So I would, already remembering that 5906 pivot that we have, just be very cautious about thinking that they can even get into the 5900s on the suspicion that this does actually get bounced. Like I shared for you about an hour ago, the 5890, 5895 puts, they're getting $3. That's all that they're getting now because we had that little bit of a bounce overnight, where futures right now are let this load up 2 points, up 3 points. We were up at 58.89.50 overnight. That was our high. 58.90, call it. That was our overnight highs. So again, not suggesting that we are getting a buy the dip bounce in any way, shape, or form, but that's what is highly likely to be projected onto this. And once again, having touched the safe edges and closed below the safe edges. Oh no, we didn't close below it on Friday. That needs to come off, and the bold needs to be removed and put back into black so that I can see my data the way I like to, but that one I'll have to rebox. Coming down onto the safe edges on the bottom edge, it ain't happened. It only happened back here the end of May, start of June, and we did not close below the safe edges. That was our bottom over there in May when we got the big bounce. We had another one into the full moon back here in May where we embarked on the safe edges the first day, closed below them the second day. So again, looking at this from just straight up data, what we see here is that we had our, again, I'll just go back here into August, minus 1%, plus 1%, minus 1%, plus 1%. Minus 1% did not get it, 56.48 being the high, plus 1%. We only got 56.46.95. I've done this so many times. 55.91.92 minus 1% September 3rd, 55.84.22 being plus 1% the next day. We only got 55.52.99. So let's go and break out our electronic abacus once again, with the low of September 3 being 55.04.33 times 1.01 for our plus 1% off of the low, and we get 55.59.37. Again, we only got to 55.46.30. So once again, it is one of those things that you pay attention to, but you don't bank on. Minus 1%, plus 1%, minus 1%, plus 1% on the same day on September 11th. Minus 1% over here on October 1st, the next day, 57.65, did not get it. Only had that plus 40-point move off the bottom there. So it is touchy. It is, again, an art. It's not a science. It's an art. 57.92, 58.55, 57.62 plus 1%. I don't need to be a rocket scientist. I can kind of already see that. 56.22 times 1.01. 58.20. We got to 58.17.80. So minus 1% plus 1%. So that's what's in the cards. That's all that I'm saying is that's what's in the cards. We're in the full moon, so don't go jumping, and going ridiculously long into a fucking puts trade. It's simply what's in the cards. So I think I've spent enough time on that. IWM, QQQ, big day down on Friday. That will be the one to be rebounded. IWM, big week down. That will be one to at least look for support and see a little bit to the downside. So let me bring you onto the charts real quick. Not that we haven't already gone over the charts, but because there has been a little bit of movement overnight, not on the SPX, because as again, SPX right down here, bang, bang, 58.53. A little bit of a relief bounce off of that, back up above that 58.65 in the 20-day moving average. That will be to be determined as we get open today. A little bit of a gap up as we always get on Mondays over here on the VIX, and VIX again holding above 1622. Holding above 1622 will be your at least first alarm, your first trigger to suggest that yes, we are really getting a bounce. When it does, if it does, break down below 1622. Come over onto your QQQ. Again, looking here at real time with the gap up overnight. Touching into the plus 500s with plus 501 being your plus 1% level. And we are now embarking onto the lows of the overnight session. Onto the IWM, nothing really. Pretty much a nothing burger. Not doing much whatsoever and very far off of that 230. However, you are getting a little bit of weakness over here on the Dow Jones. Dow Jones dipping down 433.30 at the lows right now, down about a point from where it closed on Friday. So again, I bring you here onto the DXY. $ DXY for all of you Thinkorswim users. This is the dollar index. And again, that push up into that 107.178 is a major alarm. Bullish all the way through 5, 10, 20, 200, 150-day moving averages all below it. But you are seeing yourself here at, as of 4 a.m., a little bit of a cool off, just a tiny little fractional bit, which again, it has not been the indicative of any kind of movement. And here's your TLT, the inverse, talking about the yields climbing, and it's very bearish. 5, 10, 20, 250, and 100. Total opposites of each other. You can watch either one of them. So on to Netflix. And wow, the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight didn't really matter. So not getting too much reaction so far out of Netflix. NVDA, I'll show you on here. NVIDIA, again, major move to the downside here. Major move to the downside in NVIDIA. NVIDIA is your negative catalyst at the moment. I don't know what the news was. Let's see here, live news. NVIDIA earnings are almost here. The Blackwell chip could help the stock. Dow tumbles 300 points. That's from Friday. Nothing. There's really no news other than NVIDIA is a piece of shit and due to become the next SMCI down the road. So Tesla, let's look over onto Tesla. And again, Tesla, big move to the upside after coming perfectly down to that 313, trapping anybody that was getting short below 313. And here you are embarking with 348 up there and the move back up to the upside, back to that 368, 362.80. Is that going to be enough more? With your big 384.29. And no, I am not saying go and get long on Tesla. Simply pointing out the tracks. You already had your trade with your dip down to 313. So later this week as well, we got Walmart reporting. No, I would not. No, I would not get short Walmart. No, I would not get short Walmart. I would not do it. No. And you have TJ Maxx, Target. Target is a complete piece of shit. Walmart, Ross, TJ Maxx, I already said that. And all those little Bitcoin pieces of crap that are going to be reporting earnings early in the week. So, again, all that I'm looking for is a little bit of a bounce today just to get off of that oversold, which as of right now on the futures, which I'll bring you back onto. Come on, futures. Where are you? There you are. Things are not looking rosy at the moment over on the futures and embarking once again off of their little bounce back into warning of oversold, with the Dow Jones being the weak link, the Russell 2000 being dead flat, and the NASDAQ having gotten the rotation until, as you just saw there, the NVIDIA dip. So trade safe, trade smart, trade intelligently. You are still inside the full moon window, and absolutely yes, we can still head lower. But the algorithm and the data just simply doesn't support it. See you guys in the chat room. Enjoy your breakfast. Enjoy your drive to work to make money for somebody else, and make sure that you tell everybody in your family this morning how much you adore them, because they're the reason why you do what you do.
Did you hear about Jake and Tyson? There wasn't too much fighting. I was hoping for a little more biting, but like those chaps were frightening. With so many watching it, Netflix was slowing down. There must have been a script, I can't figure it out. I seen Tyson hit so hard in his training when he sparred, but no matter what they did, they're both rich and red to red. Everybody saw Jake and Tyson. I don't know if I'd call that fighting. Please tell me why Mike was glove biting. I was shocked to see his high